How's it going? My name is Alexis Lopez. Today, my debate slash rebuttal will be that the death penalty is crude and unusual punishment and should not be used in any state within the United States of America. My position is the negative side. Some definition and analysis and main arguments is the proposition the U.S. should abolish the use of capital punishment on non-criminals. Definition of terms: capital punishment is also known as a death penalty, is a government-sanctioned practice whereby a person is put to death by the state as a punishment for a crime. Criminal: one who has committed a crime, a person who has been convicted of a crime. Some analysis and interpretation of the proposition. The objective of the proposition is to determine whether the use of capital punishment is crude. Crude and unusual punishment should not be abolished in the United States. Crimes that are punishable by capital punishment are capital offenses, crimes and felonies such as murder, mass murder, aggravated rape, child rape, and treason, espionage, terrorism, and many others that you could think of. The position is in the negative, that the United States should not be using capital punishment as a sentence for crimes where the death penalty is permissible. Main contentions for the other side, main things that other people say that are most of the time not true, that kind of just they want people to die, I guess. One of the things people say is the death penalty is a humane method for killers. Like, for example, the lethal injection, people have been arguing that that is one of the safest ways to kill someone. But it's been said and it's been tested by many people that for the first drug that's supposed to put you in shock, if anything, it does the opposite. It makes you feel a burning sensation. And a couple of inmates have said it that have survived, and they have had botched death penalty sentences, or it's a botched procedure. Another argument that they do is for the horrific crimes, death is the only suitable form of punishment. So the same thing as an eye for an eye, that the crime fits the punishment. Another one is removing death penalty will make criminals bolder and less concerned about the law. It is an effective deterrent of violent crime. So keeping it makes crime go down, which doesn't make sense because every year it seems like crime keeps on going up and up and up. One of the other arguments that people make is that guilty people deserve to be punished in a proportion to the severity of the crime. So again, pretty much an eye for an eye. You're killing someone, then you should die too. So that's pretty much what they're trying to get at there. In my affirmative rebuttal, I will present counter arguments to the positive side's first three contentions and demonstrate that the U.S. should ditch the use of capital punishment. My arguments today is that the death penalty is cruel and unusual punishment, and the most importantly, inhumane. I'm sure no one thinks that we should be killing other people, but if you do, then maybe you're into that kind of thing. In a case from 2014, Joseph R. Wood, who had been convicted of the 1991 killing of his ex-girlfriend, her father took more than 2 hours to die after he was injected with a combination of legal drugs. That's one of the botched procedures that I was talking about, where the legal drugs that they say that are supposed to be used failed and caused this man to die 2 hours, which shouldn't have happened, and it should have happened instantly within the first few minutes. Another time that the death penalty was really bad was in 1994. A young black 7th grader, George Stinney Jr., was wrongfully convicted of murdering 2 white girls, and he was sentenced to death by electrocution. To this day, he's the youngest person in this country to be executed, and he died innocent at the age of 14. And may I repeat again, he was innocent, because after 70 years, not too long ago, I think, they exonerated him. And I mean, as you can tell, it's kind of late for that because he's dead. So how do you give reparations to his family about killing their loved son? Another one is the use of lethal injections, a cocktail of chemicals meant to sleep, paralyze, and then kill the convicted criminal, is used in 37 out of 38 states that use capital punishment. However, research has shown that it is not always painless, and many times criminals will probably in excruciating pain without being able to show of the paralytic properties of the injection. On top of that, untrained medical personnel is the one who gives the injection, leaving a lot of room for error. So most of the time, they don't even have doctors. They just have people who are going to just press buttons, go in and do it. And it's not really a fair plan, because then people will get hurt, as you can see. In 2006, Judge Jeremy Fogel ruled that the state corrections officers had either used only a large single dose of anesthetic or have two medical doctors present at the executions. The state ultimately ruled that the anesthetic and could not find doctors willing to participate in the executions. So that goes to show you that even doctors don't really support it. The use of potassium chloride is banned in the euthanasia of dogs and cats unless the animals are already placed under a deep anesthetic. It is wrong to allow this to be used in humans when it is already a combination that is looked down upon on animals. Another argument is that time in a cell gives criminals to rethink their past. I think that that's an important one. That there's been many criminals who have reshaped their lives because they've stayed inside a cell and had time to really think about what they have done and right their wrongs, per se. I found an article in the LA Times by Chris Measuring that shared the story of many inmates who were given a chance to rewrite how they thought their lives should be remembered. In this article, the author shares an interesting story of Mr. Yu and his trials and tribulations. He shared an interesting thought that left me shocked. He said that he was in prison because he took a life, but that he wanted to leave this life saving one. So that's one of the ways that he kind of regrets taking someone's life, that he shouldn't have done it. And like many of us, these comics have made mistakes. So who makes us better than them that they committed something more grave? But in that sense, I feel like it's more of a sense that we should not coddle them, but sort of give them a second chance and keep an eye on them to help them and give them the help that they need to better themselves, just like we would anybody else who isn't a criminal. My third argument is that capital punishment is not an effective deterrent for crime. People argue from the Old Testament of the Bible, an eye for an eye, but in the book of Romans, you also read the recompense to no man evil for evil. People misinterpret this line and think this means murder should be punished with murder, but the Bible also does not condone the killing of one's brothers, and instead is saying that the punishment for those who are guilty should not be too lenient, but also not too severe. So that is true. I mean, death is a severe punishment for death, but also there is deterrence to try to deter people from killing people, and we could also help people not do that. It is also hard to prove that death is just as a good deterrent as for the crime as alternative of life or long-term imprisonment. Public support of the death penalty has been decreasing every year. The crime rate in non-death penalty states have been consistently lower than the states of pro-death penalty. The average murder rate is 5.5 to 3.6 since 1999. In states that are pro-death penalty versus non-death penalty, since 1990, that gap has consistently been widening. So as you can tell by those stats, that no matter what, that even if you're going to kill people, tell them that you're going to kill them if they commit a crime, it's not stopping people from committing crimes. So removing it also would not make crimes go higher. If anything, they would make crimes go lower, because then people would be realizing that they shouldn't be doing what's wrong. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to my arguments. Have a great day. Thank you.